Hi guys, my name is Dante. Today let's paint in a new version of Artstudio Pro. Actually, I guess you guys already know that this particular video will be only about the new features in Artstudio. And the second part, that's where I will be painting this, just because the video will be too long if I do it all in one. Just a few days ago, I got the update to a version 2.3, and now we're at 2.3.1, and it introduces a whole bunch of improvements and additions to all the parts of the app. Probably my favorite part is the improvement to the painting mode. So you can see at the top now I have a whole bunch of tools showing up here, and that's totally customizable. You can add any tools you want, up to 9 places I believe. So I think I used all of them. The thing I was really missing is the lasso and the move tool. Extra 2 things that you really need aside from the painting and erasing tools. So at any point you can use the lasso, select anything, and move it around. So now I have even smaller amount of reasons to ever switch out of the painting mode. I really like it. Oh, another feature that I actually wrote to the Lucky Clan about, show previous next document keyboard shortcut. So it will be really helpful when I work with several pages of Outlandish Curiosity book to be able to quickly use the keyboard shortcuts to switch between the documents without the need to, again, leave the painting mode and pressing this button to see the list of open documents. So now I can just quickly switch as if I'm on desktop. Really cool. Another cool thing is improved performance of wet paint and smudge tools, which were already really fast, but I think I actually noticed it even now. I didn't read that before I noticed it, so this is like noticeably faster. Especially, actually, when I compare it to Procreate. I don't know, maybe I wasn't using Procreate for a while, but like I was playing with the brushes today in Procreate a bit, and this is like actually low frame rate. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's slower than 60 FPS, I believe. The dry brushes that don't introduce any blending, they're pretty fast, but the ones that do blend, they're really like slow. Like this is ridiculous. This is a small brush too. I don't know what's up. I think it like became worse for some reason. I don't know when. But this is way better. Like this is a pretty big brush and it can be even bigger and still be much smoother. So yeah, also there's improved quality with very low flow values. I never noticed problems with that in Artstudio. Infinite Painter could really use that improvement, but it's good to know that it became even better. Couple other important things that many of you guys will be happy about. Number 1, CMYK mode. SMYK, as we call it in Ukraine. So yeah, SMYK preview right here. This is what it does when you turn it on. If you don't know what it means, this is pretty much the preview of the colors if they would be printed on paper or on anything. This is a great thing if you work on prints, on a book, or anything like that using your iPad, the way I do with Outlandish Curiosity, so I'm gonna be using this mode quite a lot. Really cool to have the ability to preview what the colors will actually look like. And another cool thing, I'm not 100% happy with that as it is right now, but it's still pretty cool. I know a lot of people like that, is reference view. So let's use medium size. And yeah, I have the frogs because I'm using them as a reference for Outlandish. And yeah, you can just load any picture into it and have it around. No need for splitting the screen with other apps. I usually prefer the small size so it can stay everywhere you want. You can rotate it, whatever, flip as well, so all the most useful things are here. Oh, you can even pinch to fit, apparently. Cool. And just grabbing the top part of it will always let you just move it around. Kinda cool. I'm much more into just splitting the screen really, because I tend to just look up a lot of different references right in the browser, or have a huge collection of it in the actual gallery. Like for instance, for Outlandish Curiosity, there's a huge set with all my concepts, the frogs and the jungles that I'm using a lot right now. And on top of that, I will be using my browser. Right now, I was looking up scorpions because I think I'm gonna be using this kind of legs, scorpion legs, for the legs of Arachna. And what I can do is I can just create a new album, and I'm not gonna actually do it, but I can just drag and drop into it and use all the references right here and quickly flip through them. With this case, you just have one reference at a time. The main benefit is that you have all the screen dedicated to your drawing process, so you can work like this, which is much nicer than splitting the screen. But one thing that I would really ask Lucky Clan to add right away is the ability to quickly drag and drop right into that thing from the browser or from any other app. Right now, it's only gonna import as new document or new layer. Obviously, it really needs to have the option to import as a reference, so it would update this little window right there. So with that little addition, it will be much more helpful. I would be just having this floating browser window here to quickly look up, and if I want to use one of the references for a while, I can just quickly drag and drop and then get rid of the browser and keep working like this. It would be really cool. So I think that's a must-have addition. There's no reason not to add it, right? Let's look into some brush engine improvements. Oh great, there's now curve control for tilt, which is awesome. It was kind of odd that it wasn't present before. Even though you had the tilt and pressure mode, the curve was only working for pressure but not tilt. Now both of them are present. Really cool full set of control over your brushstroke with pressure and tilt. Controlling it with curves is really awesome. Oh wow, there's so much stuff in jitter. All the great things. So, angle jitter for the stroke, which means it won't be all jiggly and wiggly when you are actually making the stroke, but each stroke will start and be consistently at a different randomized angle every time. Could I use a less contrast color for this? So there's even more randomization to the strokes when you're just... I mean, this brush is so complex and already randomized into a natural look that it's hard to even demonstrate. Let's put it like this. So 25 degrees. Oh, there we go. Yeah, this is still a tilting brush, but even when I'm holding the pencil at the same angle, it goes a bit like this, like within 25 degrees. Really cool. Especially, like, this is really helpful when you're doing some smaller details and you're doing a lot of, like, dots. You really want those dots to be as randomized as possible because you don't want to then work around every dot too much. So if I make it, like, I don't know, maximum randomization, 180 degrees, it will be, like, constantly different angle. Look at that. It looks much nicer already just because the angle is constantly different. When it's the same, human eye is so good at noticing patterns that it's really annoying, and this way it's already so much better. This will like remove half an hour of work on a highly detailed artwork for sure. And another really cool thing that I was also really hoping to get soon is hue preserve luminosity thing, which is awesome. Thing is, when you're applying jitter to color, like to hue, and you will be getting like different colors, you can see every spot it has, like some of them become red, some of them become blue, and some of them become like actually yellow, and they're all of different brightness. Even though the value of brightness isn't jittered, only hue is jittered, just red on its own of the same brightness will appear darker than yellow of the same brightness. Because there's a thing called brightness, but also there's a thing called value. And in the same brightness, different hues have different value, resulting actual optical brightness. And let me turn on... Yeah, right, so you have to go to the general section and turn off colorize each stroke. Because apparently exactly this controls whether you're jittering color in each copy of the pattern or per stroke like this. So if you turn off colorize each stroke, you have this kind of mode where just every next stroke you make is of a different color, which is a useful thing, and this looks quite digital and odd. In some cases, I know some artists use that, but I'm sure they would be happy to improve that as well. But anyway, I think like this parameter, colorize each stroke, shouldn't it be in jitter section? Maybe it has more purpose than just for jitter, that's why it's there. But anyway, right now we have hue jitter, right? So it looks like this, and different strokes have different brightness. Like this one is much darker than the one next to it. So let's turn on preserve luminosity and give it another try. I actually haven't seen the result yet. I don't know if it's gonna work out well. Okay, so I figured it out. On reasonable values, it looks definitely 100% as an improvement. Right now we have this mode turned on, and you can see I sometimes get more orange brushstrokes, sometimes they're more green. But overall, they're kind of even like messing with your eyes a bit, because the value is the same, but the hue is different. It looks like a glitch a little bit. That's exactly the effect. If I turn it off, and do the same thing with all the values and colors the same, you can see how we're actually making darker and brighter strokes all the time. Everything that's more red is darker, everything that's more yellow is brighter, and this parameter allows you to avoid that, so you can work with like precise values as on these folds right here. It's really important to have like small differences in values to show the fold brightness and darkness, like shadows. And with jitter and preserve luminosity feature turned on, you will be able to still work on precise values like this, while also introducing the color abstraction, so things would look much more interesting and with greater artistic variety to the color, like that. So I'm actually introducing a whole bunch of playful colors while still having this spot right here looking sort of flat without the illusion of shadow and light. Man, there's so much stuff to the brush engine and to everything. I can really just start over with all of my brushes and reinvent them, because there's so much more features, so much more little precision improvements that you can add to the brushes. Really cool. I'm in heaven. Symmetry support in Elastify filter. How about that? So here's Elastify, more symmetry. And now we can do this kind of stuff. Awesome. Oh, symmetry is here to stay, apparently. So it's like a global parameter. I mean, if you're working with symmetry, it's probably comfortable to have it turned on for all the tools without having to switch it on and off all the time. That would be annoying as hell. What's up with this very low flow? 0.1%. Yeah, that precision thing that I mentioned. There's now 0.1% precision for setting flow and spacing as well. That's cool. So I doubt I'll ever see any result. Oh, I actually do get that. Yeah, there's a lot of texture showing up for the low flow, but this is a very precise shading right there. Full support of iOS 13. Yeah, by the way, iPadOS, they said they will improve like the speed of the pencil, even though Apple Pencil is the quickest digital drawing technology out there. I think I actually noticed it, but I fear the placebo effect or something. There's like an even smaller milliseconds lag between the tip of the pencil and the actual stroke appearing. I think pretty much at this point we're hitting the limitation of the LCD display that iPad has. When it will switch to AMOLED, it will become even better with that, like the refresh, not the refresh rate, it has 120 frames per second refresh rate, which is amazing, but those frames are reacting to your actions with small micro delay, and on AMOLED displays it will be much better, like less than 1 nanosecond something. Right now, like when I just draw and I look at what I'm actually drawing, it looks absolutely immediate. It really feels like the paint is just streaming out of my pencil. That sounded kinda graphic, but you know what I mean. But one thing you can always notice it if you actually like draw and you look at the tip of the pencil itself while you draw, you will see how there's about 1 centimeter distance. You wouldn't believe it's there when you're not looking at it because it's that fast of a thing, but it is there, so there's still room for improvement, and probably the only way to improve it further is to switch to an OLED display. Okay, so I guess this is it for the improvements. Like, there's much more of them. I obviously didn't mention all of these, but the rest are kind of minor, I guess. But they all add up into a super powerful and solid and all-arounder of an app that has it all except for vector graphics, I guess, right? Yeah, there's no vector tools. This is a raster drawing app, in my opinion, the best one out there, including desktop. Especially right now, it has like everything you can possibly need. So yeah, the new features are really cool. Couple of things to improve in my opinion. Number one is the ability to drag and drop into the reference window. That would be really cool and make much more use out of this new feature. And another thing, I think I never ever mentioned it, but it bugged me every single day of using iPad, specifically Artstudio Pro and Procreate. It's about this thing, like I'm trying to use iOS interface, swiping up from the bottom edge to see the app dock, but it just won't do it no matter how many times I do it. I need to specifically swipe from the center second time for it to show up. And from the side, for multitasking, for showing any floating windows, it's the same thing. You swipe once, and then exactly from the center you need to swipe again. Really would love if that would be optional, because I see zero reason for that to actually happen. I don't know like how exactly I would need to swipe to accidentally trigger a thing, and even if it would happen, it's a lot less annoying to accidentally swipe and trigger the multitasking features compared to having to do the double swiping from the center every time I want to do the multitasking. That's much more uncomfortable. Procreate has it the same way, like this arrow shows up and you have to do that, and it's like not consistent even, like sometimes it will show up anyway, like right now. In Fresco, you can swipe anywhere you want and you have all the features, and it's even canceling the stroke if it notices that I was doing the swipe for the multitasking, which is a very nice touch actually. And yeah, with Minecraft Pro, even though you have like all these swiping actions going on from the edge, the right side is always free for multitasking, and the bottom as well, you can do that as much as you want. Really don't see any problem with that. Like, that probably took an extra work to do all these arrows, and I hated it every day that I've been using it. I'm really into using the multitasking features of iPad because they're awesome, and this thing is really standing in the way, so that's, yeah, one thing that I would definitely make optional. Aside from that, I don't even know what else to want from Artstudio at this point. It's so cool. Oh, I know. Anti-aliasing for references. Obviously a thing to add because, like, in many cases when you use references from the internet, they're very low resolution or something, and having these glitchy pixels right here isn't helping that. Anyway, this is it. This is all I had to say about the new update of Artstudio Pro. Really cool. A lot happier with this update from Artstudio comparing to whatever Fresco had to offer. We'll see what Procreate 5 will be like with their new brush engine and everything. Also very excited to check it out. So a great month for iPad artists. If you want to see me actually working on this artwork right here, I'm gonna make a lot of improvements to it, not just finish the details. We need to change a lot of stuff about it. If you want to see that, make sure to subscribe. But for now, this is it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! This looks kind of ominous, like this is an altar with 3 frogs being sacrificed to summon the Arachna god. Fun times with a reference window.